Hey everybody, welcome back to the Preacher and the Prodigy podcast. We're coming to you live from the Diamond Vogel Studios here in Pewaukee, Wisconsin. Excited to kick off week 5 in the college football season. The leaves are starting to change, weather's getting cooler, and more and more consequential matchups are coming out of the college football field. Jericho, it's been not a great week for our picks in week 4, but we hit the reset button after every Saturday night and get a chance to pick some new ones.
Yeah, after our kind of hot start to the season, you went 1-4 with your only win being Tennessee covering the spread against Oklahoma. I went 2-3, so now we are both 11-9 on the season. Still pretty solid. Looking to increase those records as the season goes on.
Not a lot of notable things happened last week across the college football landscape. We were talking about this before we went live. One of those crazy scores that everyone did notice was
120 combined points.
North Carolina 50, James Madison 70. And this was a football game, not a basketball game.
Right, this is played on turf. This is not in Dean E. Smith Center.
Some interesting things happened. Mac Brown apparently offered to resign and then took it back and said he apologized for offering to resign.
That's funny.
What that did to his players.
One fun fact I think I saw is this, Appalachian State and NC State and North Carolina combined to allow 177 points in those 3 different games. So, down in the Tobacco Road, not looking too bright on defense for those DCs down there.
No, for sure. We were happy to be wrong about the game in Arbor, but I would say not a lot of super good vibrations about how that game went, short of the last drive. The second half, especially Michigan, 3-and-out. I mean, they hardly possessed the ball at all in the second half. Will Johnson did have a pick 6 that took a drive away. Kenneth Grant had a fumble recovered that turned into a fumble that turned out to be an extremely consequential game. And as someone pointed out online, Michigan has an extra point blocked that may ended up have won the game, because if Michigan doesn't have that block, maybe they go for a field goal and lose in overtime. So Michigan does win 27-24 against USC. In a game I wouldn't want to play again this weekend.
No.
I think Michigan's limitations in the past game, as we predicted, as we've seen coming, are all that and more. And it took a superhuman effort by Kalel Mullings in particular and the Michigan defense to get this win.
I think throughout the game it was becoming more and more evident. And, first half, second half were night and day difference, but it definitely seemed like even though we had won the first half, that USC wasn't completely out of it. In the second half, it looked like just all USC, and it seemed like they were the better team. Yet Michigan made the bigger plays, the bigger gains, and the more crucial plays. You talked about the Kenneth Grant play. That could have really sealed it for us. But when it came down to it, Kalel Mullings and Donovan Edwards ripped off big runs. Will Johnson baited Miller Moss into throwing that pass into the flat. Taken back for 6. A lot of...
Josiah Stewart had one of the best games I've seen in Michigan.
He was unblockable. He's so fast.
He's not Aiden Hutchins, a different kind of end, but he just was unblockable.
He had a game. And it's what it came down to, is Michigan just made the bigger plays when they had to, even though in between those plays it definitely looked like USC was the better team.
So Michigan settles in at 3-1 now. I think if you told me at the beginning of the year they'd be 3-1 at this point, I would have taken it. I wish that Texas had been more competitive, and I just think Michigan has to figure out what they want to do offensively. But we move on now, and the Jug game is before us.
The Little
Brown Jug game, one of the best trophy games in college football. High noon, 11 o'clock Central Time.
Fox, big noon.
And Fox with the All-American girl, Jenny Taft, and Joel, and your boy Gus Johnson. Michigan is a 9.5, 10 point. What are we going to take it at?
It's about 9.5, 10, so it's right around there. We'll say 10.
Over-under is sitting at about 35. So Vegas has this thing. It's something like a 23-12 sort of game. Minnesota comes in after a couple of not great losses. First to North Carolina at home and then to Iowa last week.
Got hammered by Iowa.
That famous Iowa stretch play just slashed and burned the Gophers and PJ Fleck. The defense especially up front, and then also the offensive line in particular are not good for Minnesota. And so Michigan will have to use this as an opportunity to continue to figure out what they want to do under center, and particularly how they want to stretch the field vertically. But since we're tired and you went, I went first last week, you go first this week. Michigan, Minnesota, taking it to 10. That's not a half point, so we could end up with it's kind of number you end up getting a push on sometimes. 10 is a common college football number, but what do you want to do with this?
Yeah, well, last week, neither of us, as we said, did good. So now point totals throughout the season, you are at 35 points off through 4 games.
Oh, yeah, that was ugly.
Well, it wasn't last week, but combined through the year, 4 weeks, 35 points off, 37 points off. So in terms of picking games and picking the Michigan score, we are neck and neck through 4 weeks. I think that Michigan is going to cover the spread of 10. I think I would take the over 2. Seeing what Iowa was able to do at Minnesota last week really gave me confidence that Michigan can do the same thing and not need to pass it. Cade McNamara did an awful job passing last week, and they still were able to beat up on the Gophers. I think Michigan can do that same kind of thing. It's a harder environment for Minnesota to play than their own home turf. And I think that this is going to be a game where Michigan doesn't take it lightly and doesn't get a letdown game after USC. So give me Michigan to cover that 10-point spread and take the over if I were to.
So what's your score prediction?
Score prediction, I will say Michigan wins the game 31-9. 31-9.
31-9, that is good. So I'm going to take Michigan to cover, but I'm going to go with the under. I'm going to take Michigan 24-10 in Ann Arbor. And breaking news, the Prodigy and I will be there for that game this Saturday in Ann Arbor.
That would be great, but I had cross-country practice, so...
The Prodigy's coach told me it was cool if he skipped practice to go to the Michigan game this weekend, so we have tickets right here.
What? Breaking news, I did not know about this.
So, we will be there.
Sweet.
With Mrs. Preacher and the fam will be up there heading to Ann Arbor Saturday morning early, and maybe we'll do a quick live check-in from the big house on Saturday morning, drive home and listen to that Bama Georgia game. So, let's go.
Let's ride.
Let's roll. All right, let's move on.
Moving on. This week, in terms of games, very top-heavy. There is one really, really good game, and then the rest are just kind of ranked teams versus unranked teams, and kind of just a week 4. Start your conference season right, or week 5, start your conference season right. So, starting off, we will be heading out west to USC, where they will be hosting the Wisconsin Badgers. Both these teams are now 2-1, and the Trojans are favored by 15.5. This is a mid-afternoon game, CBS, so Brad Nessler will be heading out west for the first time in a very long time after riding the Deep South. Your pick?
Fight on. I mean, no quarterback for Wisconsin.
Right.
USC, they can't drop another game and continue to be really Big Ten conference contenders at this point. They need this win. I think Coach Lincoln Riley, Coach D'Anton Lynn, they have a good game plan. I think listen, this is a guy who picked Wisconsin to cover against Alabama, and it just was not even close.
Yeah.
I think this is a 37-13 13 kind of a game.
Yeah.
Give me SC.
I agree with you. 38-10 Trojans. Not much more to say. I think they looked really strong last week, even though we got the win in Wisconsin losing their starting quarterback. Now their backup isn't too bad. Started a few games last year, but that's definitely not a situation you want to be in. So give me the Trojans, and we agree. Game number 2. You want to have some fun with this one? Let's pick the greatest rivalry in basketball history and play it on turf.
NC State against Houston.
Not close. North
Georgia-Villanova.
Carolina at Duke.
Okay.
The Blue Devils are favored by 2.5. This is also
the Fighting Manny Diaz.
An afternoon game. Both these teams have a really good start to the season. The only loss between them was the James Madison game we talked about, a weird one. Duke is 4-0. You love to see it. They are right on the fringe of being on the top 25. Manny Diaz is doing a great job down there. I go first. Give me Carolina to bounce back.
Dang it. That's what I'm going to do too.
Oh, man. Let's go. Give me Carolina to bounce back. I think... I don't really know much to say about this game. I just think it's going to be a really fun game. Game you want to mark up on a calendar. It could be bonkers. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
And I think that North Carolina is going to come back strong after almost a fluke game and beat the Blue Devils.
Yeah, it's one of those games after which you have the players only meeting, and for a week or two you kind of run on fumes. So I'm going to go with you as well. I'm going to take North Carolina in this one to win the game outright.
All right, we head to Happy Valley, where I'm not sure. Is this a whiteout? I don't think this is a whiteout game, but it would certainly be appropriate because they are hosting now 19th ranked Illinois. Yet the line on this game has Penn State favored by 18. Something saying something. Last week, Illinois went into Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska, and beat Dylan Raiola and the Huskers after an impressive game against Colorado. So that really caught my attention, a Friday night game. And Luke Altmaier really looked stellar. Their passing attack looked so potent, and it just really seemed like they could not make mistakes. Now going to Penn State is a different thing, and they're a different team, and it's a whole nother situation. Yet the line is at 18.
It's a tough line.
Yeah.
Before we hit record, I was thinking Illini. I'm going to go Penn State in this one. You know what? I'm not, and I'll tell you why. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be soggy. I think it's going to be lower scoring. I think 18 is a great number. Let's go with 36-20 Penn State.
Yeah.
Because I just don't think that Illinois is quite there yet. Ready to go into. I think Penn State's really good. We've been saying this for 2 years that this is going to be kind of their peak roster season, and they've had a couple of slow starts in these games. But I think they show up here, and I'm going to take Penn State 36-20. But give me the Illini to get the cover.
I think I'm fine with taking Penn State. I'll disagree. Penn State last week beat the brakes off of Kent State, even though that doesn't say really anything.
Yeah, looking at good how Kent State did against Tennessee.
However, they went into West
State.
Virginia. They were helped a little bit by the rain delay, so that takes the crowd out of it. But they really looked strong, and they did look like a team who was passing downfield and vertically more.
And then came Bowling Green to town.
Well, Bowling Green almost upset Texas A&M, so there's something going on down there in Ohio. So, it is really looking good for Penn State this year. They have a favorable schedule, and I think that this is going to be realized as one of their bigger games of the year. And I think they don't take this lightly. Give me Penn State to win this game.
You got like 41-17 or something, or what? 'Cause that's a big number.
I think I'm going to take it at 40-16. That's like that's basically what you said. Weird things could happen to where extra points are missed or something like that, or there's a bunch of field goals. 40-16, not a typical football score, but just how it's going to go down in Happy Valley.
All right,
the big one.
Leaves us with the monster one.
This is going to be one of the biggest games of the year. It is
Hopefully Hurricane Helene has moved through and is over.
Yeah, number 2 Georgia and number 4 Bama in Bryant-Denny Stadium. Not a place where it's impossible to win at. Last year Texas went there, and Steve Sarkisian got a win there. But it is certainly a hard place to play whenever there's 100,000 people screaming in your ears. The Bulldogs, it's basically a pick-em game. Georgia's favored by 1. It's been 1 to 2, anywhere from there. So basically a pick-em game. Yeah, I have to go first. I really don't know what to think about this.
I'll go first. I'm gonna go with Dogs.
All right.
I think that Alabama is going to be really, really, really good under Kalen DeBoer, but I think there's a reason Georgia was ranked number 1 preseason. And I know they scuffled around a little bit at Kentucky. Kentucky can do that to people. Actually, I think it'll be kind of a similar game, but I'm going to take Georgia to win this game by a field goal. Go Dogs.
Rammer, jammer, yellowhammer.
No, boy, don't do it.
Let's go. Give me the Tide. I think Kalen DeBoer is going to have if you're going to watch this game, Kalen DeBoer is going to have an absurd game plan cooked up under Jalen Milroe. And I think it's going to do just enough to take advantage of the Georgia defense and have them account for his running ability, but as well as his ability to bomb it deep to guys like Ryan Williams. And I do believe that this is kind of we're still the king of college football moment for Alabama.
But they haven't been the kings for a long time, man. Georgia's the king. Dethroned by Michigan, but before that, the previous 2 titles went to Michigan.
And before that, Alabama.
Yeah, but so they were the king, but you can't say they're still the king.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that
let's go back to the tape.
They're going to take back.
Okay, that's different. That's different. You said they were going to still be the king.
They're going to take back the throne from Georgia.
All right, you can say that.
And I don't know. I got a gut feeling that this is going to be the make or break moment for Alabama.
What does that mean?
Because Georgia, like you said, Alabama fans really, really want to get back to where they were under Nick Saban.
It's not make or break. I mean, but I think Alabama's going to be fine going forward if they lose this game. I think Alabama can still win the SEC if they lose this game. But this is not make or break.
But to have you lose to Georgia on your home field, I think that is not something that you would really appreciate as a Bama fan.
No, I know. I agree with you, but this is year 0 for Kalen DeBoer. It's not make or break.
There's never been a year 0 for Kalen DeBoer because everywhere he's gone, he's won. You can give a year 0 for everybody else, but Kalen DeBoer seems to be the one exception where wherever you put him at, he's going to win at least 10 games and win some trophy somewhere. Doesn't matter what level you put him at.
I agree with that. He's good in Europe, but this is still his first year. And to say that this is make or break is just a weird thing to say. Anyway.
Make or break for Alabama people who've been there. I say that they feel the need to take back the crown. This is the perfect opportunity to do that. Hosting Georgia, give me the Tide.
I want Alabama to win.
Give me the Tide to win this game, 33-24.
Yeah, I hope Alabama wins. I guess I'll kind of be rooting for them, but I think Georgia does win. I think Georgia on the strength of its defense. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. It's probably going to be in that. I don't know. You think that this game gets? You think we get 45 points total in this game? I don't know what the over/under is, but
I do.
Okay, I think it might be a little less than that. So I think it's a 24-17 kind of a game, but we shall see. A lot to do this weekend now.
Yeah.
Cross-country practice is not one of them. You have to run on your own, though, I guess. So
I'll run to Ann Arbor. It'll be worth it.
You can run to the car afterwards. So, all right. So we will see how things go. And that does it for our Week 5 podcast. Until Week 6, I'm the Preacher.
I'm the Prodigy.
Peace.